oh, jeez. That's the spot, and it's just like, what the fuck?
Motherfucking goddamn orange peel beef.
Oh, yeah. It's one fucking hour time. Of course, the show where we talk about one goddamn movie, and we have just one fucking hour to do it. I am Evan Husney, and we got over here to my left, Big T, Tom Fitzgerald. Tom, how you doing?
Oh, doing fine, don't you know? I'm not like these guys.
Right.
I don't do the Midwest.
You don't do it? Okay. I wanted to set you up to see.
I've only been there like once for like an hour.
All right. And to my right, we got Mr. Marcus Herring over there. Marcus, what's going on?
Doing just fine. Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks
okay.
for asking.
Oh, sure. Okay, so tonight is episode 125 of the show. Very exciting, guys. We're getting into one fucking hour on our first Coen Brothers movie, Fargo, from 1996. We were supposed to do this 2 weeks ago, but of course, in light of the recent passing of David Lynch, we kicked this down a week, and we did our tribute episode to David Lynch, which is up right now on the YouTube channel. Very awesome response. Thank you, everybody who checked that out, and to all of our guests who shared their stories and eulogies, and we appreciate that.
And the comments, very cool to hear from everybody.
Yeah, it was awesome. So thank you guys for tuning in for 2+ fucking hours on David Lynch that we did. So yeah, very exciting stuff. I guess before we get into this, I just want to. I should point out, by the way, I think it's time to say this. I'm not in my usual spot. You may have realized that. I'm on the road right now. And where am I? Perfectly timed for tonight's episode, guys. I'm in Minneapolis. I am in Minnesota
What?
Yeah.
right now.
All right, there you go. So are you doing this? Are you going to travel for every episode? To, like, if we did Jaws, you'd go to like Long Island.
That would be cool. I could do that. That would
New
be
thing.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Just for the immersive experience. But here's the proof, guys. Minneapolis right now, 13 degrees. But
It's a scorcher.
it's a scorcher, but it feels like one. Yes, it feels like one. 1 degrees outside.
Oh, jeez.
So that's where
Kind of
we
weather
are.
where your eyeballs freeze.
Oh, it's been insane, guys. Like that feeling
Fuck
of
that.
cold wind between your legs, like you get like chapped inner thighs. You ever had that, Tom? No?
No, man.
I remember when I moved there, walking around and walking home, and a pizza guy pulled over and was like, "You can't be out in this weather. Let me give you a ride home."
There you go.
I'm like,
Oh my God.
it's too dangerous.
We're going to talk about
Then
that.
he tried to essay you.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about that
No.
Minnesota politeness. It's a strange
Very
place.
politely.
Right.
But I'm happy to be here. I think it makes the episode that much more special. I'm from here, by the way. So I'm here. This is my mom's place that I'm at here. And so very excited. And it's just weird. I've been living in the Fargo world for the past 5 days. And so it's crazy.
What do they think of Fargo?
Well, okay.
The average.
I
Minnesota.
assume I think everyone's very proud of the Coen Brothers being local, St. Louis Park, Minnesota celebrities. I think everyone's into that. But I did mention this on a previous episode about my mom, who's somewhere over there. But when this movie came out, when this film came out, it kind of put the Minnesota accent on the map. It put Minnesota on the map. I mean, most coastal people can't even point to where Minnesota is on the fucking, United States map, right? Exactly. So
I have no idea.
Yeah. So, when we would travel outside of Minnesota, like we'd go to Disneyland or something, we'd go over there and then, my mom would be there. Someone from the desk would be like, "Oh, you sound just like Fargo," and she'd get really bummed out, because
Why?
there's not a lot of self-awareness around that people sound like this out here,
I see.
So,
I see.
and it's crazy. It's like, it's pervasive. It's everywhere you go. It's, oh, yeah, and oh, geez, nah, oh. Wow. Everyone is crazy here, dude, the way they sound. around. It's nuts.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
since
yeah.
I'm from
But again,
here,
what we're saying is it's so common there
so common
that no one even
Knows.
like isn't this the way everybody talks out here?
Nobody knows. It's just everyone's out here and you can't go downtown anymore. Used to go to downtown, you just can't do it. So anyway,
trippy.
So since I'm from Minnesota though, and I'm going to be doing the show tonight, and I've been surrounded by Minnesotans for the past 5 days, my accent's probably going to unintentionally come out more, and it's going to be really embarrassing. So get ready for that.
You've been choking it back all these years. Huh?
I have been. I do. I work at it. Like when I say mom or, like a boat comes out every once in a while, it's really hard not to. Yeah.
Well, I guess like a Boston thing, like park the car by Harvard Yard.
And cods by the
Yeah. There's certain words that stir up the sota in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to be getting soten. So
yeah.
Anyway, well, before we get into the show, guys, I do want to give just a quick shout out to the One Fucking Hour Patreon. That's right. Patreon.com/onefuckinghour is where you can sign up for just $5 a month, and you get instant access to all of our bonus eps, 24-hour early access to all of our shows, and all the auto commentaries we've done in the archives. And it's been a blast. We have a private chat group up there, people chiming in all the time, chatting with us. It's very fun. Building a really sweet community. Chiming, yeah. We're chiming up here. Oh,
chiming
sure.
in. Want some chiming. All right.
God damn it. Anyway, so it's been very fun. I'm going to be so self-conscious tonight. But we're building a great community up there, and it's been great. So sign up there on the Patreon, or if you want to if you want to support the show, it's the best way to support the show. And if you want to do so, but you want to keep all your content on YouTube, you also could go to our homepage on YouTube, our channel homepage, find the join button, click that. It's also $5 a month, same perks, same benefits, no chat room, no, but you can sign up there and do that. So one of two things: become a Momen on the YouTube channel, or I should give a little. Become a Momen on the YouTube channel. That sounds Minnesotan. Momen, or sign up for the Patreon. Patreon.com/onefuckinghour and become a patron of ours. Thanks to everyone who's done that so far. We really appreciate you. Fun stuff. So,
a bit more Wisconsin, don't you think? Momen.
Oh, sure. Momen Falls up there is where we go every vacation.
Oh, my God.
Okay, sorry. Okay. All right, are you guys ready to get into this?
Yeah.
Start the clock. All right, here we go. 3, 2. All right, boom. Okay, so little plot synopsis action here. Most everyone knows Fargo, right? It's a pretty popular film from the 90s, but let's give it a go. I think this is from the words of Roger Ebert, who we talk about, right, a lot. Ebert, from his original review. This is just a little plot synopsis section. I thought it worked quite well. A car salesman named Jerry Lundegaard, which is literally the names of everybody around me right now. Everyone is named Lundegaard or Hogard, or they all have these very Scandinavian names. So that's also perfect. Jerry Lundegaard, played by William H. Macy, desperately needs money for a business deal, a parking lot scheme that can save him from bankruptcy. He is under the thumb of his rich father-in-law, Wade, who owns the car agency and treats him like a loser. Jerry hires a couple of scrawny lowlifes named Showalter and Grimsrud, I don't know how to pronounce his name, of course Steve Buscemi and Peter Stormare, to kidnap his wife and promise to split an $80,000 ransom with them. Simple enough, except that everything goes wrong in completely unanticipated ways as the plot twists and turns and makes a mockery of all of Jerry's best thinking, or worst. And of course, the movie features an incredible performance by Frances McDormand, who plays Marge Gunderson, who is hot on the trail of all these low-life criminals, and she is the police chief of Brainerd and does a hell of a good job. That part wasn't
and happens to be quite pregnant.
Yes,
during the whole thing,
right? Which is unique, which I'm sure we will talk about. But guys, one of the things I wanted to just kind of kick this off with, I think it might just set the table of this conversation, this hour, is just about Minnesota in general. Minnesota is a strange place, as I mentioned earlier. And to kind of dovetail off of the David Lynch episode, when last week when we were talking about Blue Velvet, Blue Velvet, of course, is sort of the evil that lurks, beneath the, mid-century, Americana facade of all that stuff. And that's so brilliantly rendered in that film, of course. But that's definitely present here too. But Minnesota has a more complicated, sort of deranged masking of its darkness, right? This concept of Minnesota nice. I'm sure a lot of people have heard that term before, and this movie in large part probably put that concept on the map. Minnesota is obviously very isolated, as you know. It's a very cold place, as I pointed out. It's very oppressive in that way. And people are equally as emotionally, repressed as well too. Actually, the Coen Brothers are from, Minnesota, as we mentioned, and they describe Minnesota. This is great, as it's practically like Siberia with family restaurants. I think that's a great way
Nice.
to describe it.
That's good.
Yeah, of course, but. So everyone here masks their real, true emotions behind the facade of politeness, right, in the form of Minnesota nice, and that's rendered in the movie perfectly, right? Everybody you see is, oh sure, so what you going to be doing for, tomorrow, and what's this going to be, and oh great, how you doing? Everyone's got that facade, and so
how's the fricassee?
Yeah, right.
Even during like a police interrogation.
Yes. Exactly. Which
Right.
that scene's a great example, actually, of the Minnesota niceness when, Marge is, because you're talking about when Marge is like threatening Shep, Shep Proudfoot, and kind of threatening him to go back to jail. She's going to threaten him if he doesn't give up basically the names of these two guys or whatever, or his association with them. But she does it with a smile on her face the whole time. The whole time she's basically like, well, you don't want to go back to jail then, do you? Or whatever she says,
Yeah.
And
She's so great at it.
Oh, it's great.
She's not a native, I'm assuming.
I don't believe
the actress?
so.
She's from Illinois, I think.
Yeah, so she knows
okay. Well,
the
it's
Midwestern
adjacent.
vibe, but she's
Okay.
married to Joel Coen, of course.
Right.
But anyway, so you have this polite culture where that's the default. Everybody here has been raised to be, politeness is the default setting, right, for everyone here. There is more to that, or it is kind of a strange phenomenon in the fact that, a lot of Scandinavian immigrants came here. German immigrants came to Minnesota. This is the largest number of Scandinavian immigrants, and that was a huge part of their culture, the politeness. And I think that's kind of where that started, right? But Joel Coen mentioned in an interview that, polite cultures are usually the ones that are the most repressed and therefore can be the most violent. And I think that there's something with that this movie captures sort of perfectly, where you got a guy stuffing another guy down a wood chipper, like things like that happen here. Really crazy, dark, weird shit happens here. But the way people talk about it's like, yeah, he fell off a building, 10 stories, but then, he went through all of his organs, got pierced by, an iron fence.
Right.
And what a sad way to go, or whatever. Crazy shit happens here all the time. So anyway, it's very unique. And this movie captures all of that so well. And this whole idea, and I think it's such an amazing setting and so authentically captured in this to sort of make a small time crime story set in the Midwest, and then also taking these really accurate, 360-degree portrayals of these characters, these Minnesotan caricatures, and authentically put them in this scenario. And based upon...
So
go ahead.
Yeah, like you know the area. You like,
Yes.
just to be clear, like born and raised.
Yeah.
So it's nice to hear that you're giving it the seal of approval of authenticity.
Oh yeah.
Of the lived-in quality of the film. It's not
Totally.
It's not like coastal elites from Manhattan, like helicoptering down in and spending a weekend or anything like that. Like these guys are from there.
Well, like American Beauty sort of is, right? In a way.
Yeah.
in a
But
way.
you're identifying that they're like, it's clicking. You're getting it right as a local.
Yeah.
You see it.
It wasn't. I always had that question, even when I was like a teenager watching this. I've been a fan of their stuff for a long time, even as a kid. But there always was that quality of like outsiders looking down on the normal guy kind of thing, like Raising Arizona. All the characters are these kind of goofy small town people or whatever, And
can
Barton
we say, Marcus, just your favorite of the galling smugness of East Coast elites looking at regular America, your favorite true stories.
Oh God, right? Yeah.
We've always
David
talked
Byrne
about this,
thing where.
So you're saying
we're always
just
trashing on
the gauge.
the David Byrne movie True Stories, where he's driving the car. He's like, "Look at me, I'm from Texas.
Yeah.
I drive a car like
Let's
this.
get
I'm
some
from
hot
Texas."
dogs.
Yeah, like it's like incredibly offensive, like
Okay.
New York guy. Like, yeah, so that's always bugged the shit out of me. And I wondered about that with the Coen brothers. So it's when learning they're from Minnesota, of course they get a pass now, but they even always stuck out to me because Barton Fink, the movie that they did like 2 movies before Fargo, actually deals with that, because like Turturro's character is this like New York fancy pants intellectual playwright who kind of starts stalking John Goodman, who's like a regular businessman, and he's just like, I'm trying to connect with the normal man. And,
right.
And there's this big speech at the end where like John Goodman's character is like, you can't live my life. You're just a weekend warrior in my world. And that's what the whole movie is about. So I kind of wonder if it's part of it must be part of what's going on in their brain, is they must have a little guilt about this anyway.
Well, I can relate. I can relate with the Coens in a sense of someone who was like, the minute I turned 18, I was fucking out of here, get me out, and I went away to California, and then I went to New York, and so on and so forth. So I can identify with sort of having some objectivity to seeing like, how there is something creepy about the culture here, in a way where everyone is kind of in like this automaton politeness, and this is like the only place you can drive where everyone lets you in, is letting you in, and it's amazing.
Wow,
Like even if you're the second person at a 4-way stop, like they'll let you go first.
No, you go.
You go. So I can see that there's something sort of just off and weird about it. Like if you're artistically minded, or you can think about it differently. And I know from reading earlier today that, the Coens grew up with this and definitely experienced this sort of, weird, I don't know, like gross politeness that definitely had an effect on them. And I think this was the perfect outlet for it. And I do like that. There's even sequences in the film too that feel very Doc style, or feel very like Vernon, Florida style. Like there's that amazing little scene in the film. It happens towards the end where it's one of the rando cops is interviewing one of the rando townies as he's
about the weather coming.
Yeah, and he's like, he's like he's plowing his driveway. And they're talking about the guy out there, who went crazy by the lake, and
Says last guy thought he's a jerk is dead now, so I don't say nothing. He says, what do you think about that? And I says, well, that don't sound like too good a deal for him then.
You got that right.
And that's very like, man, that 5 minutes ago I had that conversation.
That was super Vernon.
Yeah, it was very Vernon.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think it's amazing when you have guys like the Coens who experience this life, and then they go on and they do other things, of course, but they come back to it, and they come back to the Minnesota they knew, and then they're using it as like, it's like, make a film about what you know. And I think that's why this feels so lived in, is because all the details are dialed in, and not only did they find what's horrifying or dark or disturbing about Minnesotan culture, but they also find the beauty in it too. And I do want to point that out, which is the relationship that Marge has with her husband. Norm is really a sweet and tender depiction. The whole time.
That's the final note of the film,
which is great. I think that's an incredible note where it's like, yeah, she solves this big case. Like she solves like a huge case and puts it all together. But what's so sweet is the small victory of Norm getting the loon on the 3-cent stamp.
Right, exactly. And I'd also say that. Yeah, and kind of the penultimate scene, before that scene, she gets to carry sort of the philosophy of the film, or for lack of a better term, when she just is driving, the foreign guy, the killer, in the back of the car. She's like, why do you got to do this? Just for some money, like just the values, I forgot what she says, but I thought it was articulated very well. It's a world view that she has,
right,
where it's just looking coldly at people who are doing misdeeds, and it's just like, it's not even anger or like, indignation. It's just like, why would you do that? Why would you ruin their lives and your life? Like just for some money, like, and it just shows the value system of a person like her living in that world. And I like that too.
I like that. And I do like how that speech kind of does work for William H. Macy's character too, Which we'll get to. Yeah.
It is such a, just, that you mentioned them returning to something that they are so familiar with, and that I love, it's such a sweet, story that goes along with this, that this film was such a huge success, and a huge film for them. And they had some movies that were made some money before, like Raising Arizona, or like Barton Fink did well, like Overseas or something. But then a lot of their movies didn't make money before
it's a hit.
This one, And I love that it's going back. It's got a smaller budget than Hudsucker Proxy, the movie they did before that. It's a smaller.
Well, they almost had like 2 Magnolias before Fargo,
right?
Well, wasn't Miller Crossing? Was Miller Crossings the one before this, or was it Hudsucker?
That's 3 before.
Oh, that's way back.
That's 1990.
Like 1990. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Oh yeah.
I think people believed in their talent. Their talent is so clear. They were going to be able to weather the storm. But I don't know if they would expect that this film would have just clicked.
Would connect on a pop level, like Jay Leno would reference it or something.
Right. And then just going back to what and it is a very minimalist film in all these ways. Just like good acting, and then they're like really leaning into like the minimalism and the cinematography. Anyway, there's just like a sweet sentiment that's along with that. It's like, if you go back to your roots and clear away all the chaff, that you could make something really successful.
And also, like, one quality the film has too is, and there's some scenes I want to get to, maybe a little later on after we get through some of the characters, which are pretty amazing in this film. But it's just like, there's a lot of little quiet moments in this film that you may think would hit the cutting room floor in a typical film, but here they're used to add to the characters. The characters here are very three-dimensional and very lived in, and are given a lot of moments to just bring so much to their character beyond the crime plot. And I think the Coens also give those so much poignancy in those moments. Like you mentioned, Marge is pregnant, but it's never a plot device. It's never this concept of like, oh, what's going to happen with the baby? Or maybe she shouldn't walk down these stairs because she'll fall. I don't know, whatever.
Or she's going to give birth.
She's going to go into labor in the cop car.
There you go. That's much better. Yeah. So anyway, but it's just amazing. It just adds to her character. It's not, it's dealt with very minimally in the story, but there's a scene where, she just drives up to this fast food place and orders a burger and just sits in the parking lot and eats the burger, and it's like this, it feels like, 3 empty panels that might be in like a Daniel Clowes comic or something that aren't, to the main story, but it just gives so much weight to the reality of these characters. And I love that.
There's a lot of eating in this movie, actually.
There's a lot of gross, Norm, you're getting Arby's on me, or whatever she says.
Right. But then there's just like really like pornographic footage of, like a what is it? What is that thing you pass
chicken
by?
Fricassee?
Yeah, but like, what is that called? Why am I spacing on that?
The cafeteria kind of.
Yeah, the cafeteria style, but it's like in Vegas buffet.
Oh, right. That place is called the Old Country Buffet. By the way, I grew up there, going there as a kid. So.
Is that the famous Old Country Buffet that with like there's the sort of meme video of the guy cutting the roast beef?
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
That's like mid-century scary food.
It's so scary. There's there's still remnants of that here.
I was pausing and looking at what some of the meals things that she was passing by, like Torsk. She's like, there's like some sort of like broiled Torsk.
Yeah.
I thought that was a prog band, a prog metal band.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry for the overusage. Okay. Quick thing here I just want to mention is the opening of the film. Okay. This is also interesting. This choice, okay, based on a true story. Okay. Everybody knows this is not a true story. But it's an interesting move to do it because I think the vibe they're going with in this film is sort of a truth is stranger than fiction type of story, right? This might as well have been a true story. This could have been ripped from the tabloids.
Stories like this happen plenty.
Totally. and the 90s is filled with those types of stories, right?
Oh yeah.
And being disseminated all throughout media and stuff. But what's interesting,
well, if you don't mind, when I was rewatching it, it's been many years, I kept thinking of Forensic Files, actually.
Yes.
Like, shout out to Marcus here.
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody loves Forensic
I
Files.
fall asleep to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's on, you could watch
Sure.
it all day and all night the rest of your life on, what is that? One of those
TV.
channels.
True
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, but this movie is like a fictionalized dramatization of a Forensic Files story.
Right.
Like these kinds of calamitous, like one error makes the next error bigger, and then it gets bigger and it balloons, and it's like, and then he tried to hide it, and then he put her head in a suitcase, and then he tried to take a bus.
Well, even
it's
the
just
setting.
like, oh my.
Even the setting, like a suburban
right.
sort of kidnapping, is feels
Totally.
like that.
It's very Forensic Files.
Right.
And that's a
the
great
husband
compliment
usually
for me.
did it in Forensic Files too.
Yeah, right. It's always the spouse.
Oh, there's that.
Yeah.
Right.
The thing is, though, about this, which I just think it's interesting to go with that move, because I think it has an effect on the audience. You know, when you're watching it, like let's say when this movie came out, you know, and people didn't know better, and they think it's a true story. I think you're almost willing to go with it more, or you're willing to conceive of these characters in a different way as you're watching it, just thinking and believing, even though it's not true, that it's a true story. You know, and I don't know. I think that's kind of a cool move for this, because it really fits with the material. Not like it would work for any movie, but
I think the way it feels, I think if you watch a movie like this, let's talk about the plot structure. And the plot is structured on something that really feels more like reality than a contrived plot. Like a lot of, like plot contrivances where A gets you to B and C and D. This feels like you get to A, B, and C often in life through like there's an accident or a miscalculation or like something went wrong, or it's like, and it just feels like the calamitous way that like people's lives sort of figuratively fall down the stairs.
Yep.
You know, and plots too often, I think, the ones that I don't respond to, feel like they're very tightly wound, like a watch, like a Breaking Bad, or
like
something.
I was gonna say Better Call Saul.
Oh, there you go. We were just thinking the same thing. Yeah, exactly. Like I just when I see those plot contrivances, I just go click off. And this film is nothing like that. It just feels like, oh, it looks like he drove away. Okay, now what?
And that's also rendered in, just real quick, and that's also rendered too, I think, in the characters themselves too, because this is a film about a stupid idiot criminal, who's a dummy and who's
Forensic Files,
who fucks up at every step of the way, and it's small time crime in the by an idiot, and I think that does also feel very true to life and very real.
Yeah,
and
he's all thumbs, which is again almost every Forensic Files, every true crime thing has some guy who's like immediately gets way in over his head, and that's right.
Tragedy of errors.
And I got to say, the first time I experienced this film, it came out, I wasn't really quite tracking those guys, and it looked to me like, oh, it's like Tarantino era, like, oh, and who shot me in the face, man? That kind of ear cut off kind of thing. I don't know, but later I saw it on cable. I was switching channels on cable, and it happened to be the scene with William H. Macy in his office squaring off with Frances McDermott, and I went, this is my favorite shit ever. Yeah. Who's this actor? This actor is amazing, great character. I was laughing, I was fascinated, and to me, this is, I got to say, Fargo to me is that William H. Macy movie. He steals the movie for me. He steals it's forget wood chipper, just him at his desk.
I know,
fucking all day, dude.
Yeah.
What were you doing all day, by the way, Tom? Tell the audience what you were doing with your love of that.
What?
You were taking screenshots.
I have
my texts from you.
Yeah, I just blew up your phone with like a dozen photos of his bug-eyed lying, both on the phone and in person, in front of Venetian blinds
right now.
Yeah.
Here's all the Tom stills that he took today. I'm just going to start cutting.
And he looks like fucking. It looks like like a Space Jam kind of cartoon.
Same year, by the way.
No, I know, but you know what I'm saying? Like an bad CGI exaggerating faces to make them look cartoony, like ooga, and it's just him with his eyes.
It's amazing.
Yeah, he's amazing.
It is wild that he landed the part as the star. I mean, he wasn't in anything before. Like, I mean,
this really made him, huh?
Was Homicide before or after? I don't know. Maybe same year. I'm not sure. But no, he wasn't in much.
It was a star-making role, and that's always really cool to see.
Right. Yeah. Oh, the fact that he got the chance to be the star of a movie, you know what I mean? Like to be an unknown, basically, essentially, whether or not he was in that movie just mentioned or not, he's an unknown actor at this point.
Great casting.
And,
great eye for casting.
He gets nominated for an Academy Award.
Yeah, I mean, he deserves it.
It's the dream.
I think he was reading for like a small bit part in the film, and
I think he was reading for like Buscemi's part or something.
Was it? Okay. And then they were like, "Hey, do you want to read for Jerry Lundegaard?" And he's like, "Sure." And then he
said, "You betcha."
Yeah, you betcha. And then he kept working.
Well, actually, is he from Minnesota?
No,
or not? I mean,
Chicago.
No, he's like from Florida or something.
Oh, is he from Florida?
Damn, because
but he was a Chicago. He was part of that Mammoth crew, I think. Professionally.
And I think he went to that school. God, there's that famous HB school, for actors that we mentioned in the Mikey and Nikki episode.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, he's a classic schmuck in this film. It's pretty amazing. I mean, the
sweaty,
idea,
bug-eyed, fake smile,
yeah, exactly. He's just got the Minnesota facade, but like behind all that, he's dying inside because he has like these multiple schemes that are going on with many holes in all of them, and it's all going to kind of crumble, and one thing hinges on the next. But what's amazing is he does kind of keep it afloat, obviously, until the very end. He's kind of improving his way through all this, even though everything is not going according to plan.
Let's never forget, part of his scheme is he has to convince his son, don't go to the cops about mommy being kidnapped.
I really think we should call the cops here.
No one can know about this thing.
Yeah.
He's so demented. It's let's just keep her quiet, okay, kiddo?
No.
Wow,
I can't do that. No. And
no cops.
I know. Just that sort of circumstance, this sort of crime circumstance, but then mixing in the no, the Minnesotan quality of it.
Masterstroke. It's a brilliant idea. Yeah,
great idea. Yeah, exactly. So, not putting any thought really into how any of this is going to play out. And
right. What was his plan once the $80K? His father-in-law takes the $1 million and to go deliver it to the criminals. Right. Who only think they're going to get 80,000. Yeah. So he follows them there. What was his plan going to be when he gets there to retrieve the?
Who knows? Yeah. Who knows?
Well, to his credit, he's an amateur.
Yeah.
First crime.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it seems like he's conning people left and right, because the movie opens with Jerry Lundegaard trying to con this guy into True Coat, for his car.
Yeah.
And I know you love that.
Fuck you, man, or whatever the guy says. Where's my fucking checkbook?
You're a bald-faced liar.
Fucking please.
A fucking liar.
Yeah. That takes a lot probably for a Minnesotan to use the F.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He wasn't saying that word, And of course, this who knows with the parking lot thing.
No, the film does make a point that this guy is always on scam mode at all times.
Yes, exactly.
It seems like he needs the money, but I like that they don't give you a backstory as to why. Like he's got a bunch of gambling debts or something. He seems like he's desperately in need of it. Yeah,
it feels like gambling or hooker addiction. It's true.
To me,
the vibe of it.
To me, it also could be like there is some embezzlement thing going on, where he took money, or because there's the company that needs the car serial numbers. And there's some
he needs money to buy the cars, so you can
And I'll get it on the I'll get it like I'm just gonna dip over here and then I'll give it back later. Like that's very common too.
Yeah. I mean,
you know what I mean? Like trying to move money around internally, and it's just like, whoops, I came up short. Whoop-de-doo.
Right.
Yeah. So incredible stuff here. His wife, Jean, is
briefly seen, but really
one
great.
of the most realistic Minnesotan wife depictions. I've ever
would your
seen.
mom be friends with her or something?
Probably.
You're not a C student. Yeah. Yet you're getting C grades.
You're not a C student. Just the way she talks, like she has the most like insane accent of anyone. Yeah. And that's very captured. I don't know, man. That's something. Shout out to anyone from Minnesota listening to this knows that Jean Lundegard is maybe the most real.
Is the most legit.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, the whole kidnapping scene too, awesome, of course, and how, and it starts off like very scary, like the idea of her watching TV, folding clothes or whatever. And then you just see this, like, one of the two guys dressed all in like black fatigues, like the Zodiac killer, like in daylight approaching the house. And that's pretty fucking serious.
No, he just breaks the window. She freaks out.
Yeah.
It's like a horror movie almost all of a sudden,
Parts of this reminded me of, that scene in Mulholland Drive which is a similar kind of, comedy of errors, tragedy of errors, where it's like like
with Billy Ray Cyrus.
Something bit me. There's that too, but then the vacuum
the
cleaner
Office.
and the bullet and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like that and the Hitman. And I was kind of, and just how it's funny and one thing threaded to the next, and like everyone, and there's all these mistakes. And in a way, I was almost wondering if like that had seeped into Lynch's consciousness to make it. That little moment does feel a little different, and it feels very 90s. And anyway, just kind of wondering if that Fargo element had like seeped into his brain a little bit. Who knows?
It's a remnant of the Mulholland Drive television show, and
right.
It seems like they both
larger story.
They're both trafficking in that comedy of errors thing.
That same sort of like brand of humor, dark humor.
Because even Tarantino gets into that.
Sure. The
like Marcellus Wallace saw me. Okay, I'm going to crash into him now, and then
right.
You know
what I mean? Exactly.
And just got to mention too, it's a great like little dark comedy cap to the kidnapping scene is when he comes home, and then it's great how it's rendered when you have Jerry coming home and he's seeing, all of the remnants of the kidnapping, right? He's seeing like the way things are on the floor and what the window's broken and everything, and then he immediately. You don't know if he's on the phone or not, but he's practicing how he's going to explain it to Wade, and he's like, "Wade,
well, you don't.
Jerry.
You hear him before you see him.
You hear him before you see him.
You're hearing him and the assumption is he's on the phone, bawling his eyes out and like in a panic that he's just rehearsing.
And then he's just totally like a sociopath, and he's just like,
Wade, it's Jerry. We gotta talk. It's something hard, jeez. It's terrible.
Wade, it's Jerry. It's Gene. Oh, geez, it's Gene. Whatever.
Yeah. That part is very Forensic Files because they do that. Like those shoes, those goddamn shoes.
Totally fake. And the fake 911s are very Forensic Files.
Yeah. Lots of OGs in this movie too.
OGs, yeah.
Lots of OGs and. So anyway, I mean, I don't know. Anything more?
Well, the kidnappers,
those
characters,
right? We can talk about them.
Let's not bury the lead. We got Steve Buscemi on Fizire in the 90s.
Yeah, right. Here, and everything, killing it.
Yeah,
and obviously great. In this film, as sort of I guess he's supposed to be a Minnesotan, but he does feel a little removed. I don't think he is supposed to be Minnesotan.
I feel like they're out of towners.
Transient,
like maybe, like you were saying, like Florida. They feel very
right. Well, the Swedish guy is the one who Shep vouched for, right? The really psychopathic Swedish guy is the one that he vouched for.
Yeah,
the other guy is yeah. So it does seem like maybe he's a little out of town, and he's crashing at Shep's apartment or whatever when he's got the girl and he's getting whipped.
By Shep. Great.
Let's clarify briefly, like what you're saying. Like,
sorry. Character? Steve Buscemi is crashing at later on. He's got a prostitute when he's in the Twin Cities, and he gets tossed out of bed and whipped by Shep, who works at Lundegard's place. Anyway, Yeah, he's naked. He gets whipped. I don't know. It's a
Yeah,
great
it's
scene.
pretty
It's
funny.
like horrific and funny. It's very funny. It's one of those 90s things where you're laughing at this horrible violence of someone getting whipped naked. But why is that funny? Is it because the character is so
he was
weak and he deserves it?
Well, and it was like coitus interruptus. It's like everything's groovy, and then it's like very much not. You know? And it's great. It's great.
And
he's
funny.
Perfect for that. He's such a perfect guy. For that
wiry and like over caffeinated and just It definitely really does work.
Squirrely.
Well, it's funny that him and the Swedish guy are set up as opposites too. Like Steve Buscemi's like talking the entire time. The Swedish guy says like 9 words in the whole movie. You know.
Yeah.
And is he supposed to be like ethnically Swedish or something? Like
I think so.
There?
Yeah, I think so.
I've always sensed that.
Yeah, same.
For a foreigner,
foreigner of some kind.
We stop at Pancake House.
Yeah, Pancake's house.
Where's Pancake's house? What? We stop at Pancake's house.
Yeah. And of course, like when they go and like sleep with the prostitutes at the truck stop too, and they get that little quiet moment, and it's like, they have coitus, and then they're watching like Johnny Carson or whatever the fuck they're watching after.
Yeah, right. Afterwards.
It's pretty great. And of course, when Marge goes to interview those prostitutes, man, that's also just that does feel like a documentary as well.
Well, that was so big. I remember that from the TV trailer for the film.
Oh yeah,
like that was like one of the leading vibes that when they were promoting FARGO, was like the 2 girls like nodding, like okay, you know.
I'm from Chaska.
Exotic.
Yeah, she's from Chaska. Yeah, which is exactly where she would be from. And it's amazing. So, but let's talk about Marge, Margie. We talked a little bit about, Frances McDormand, but again, another star-making performance. I believe she won the Oscar for that, didn't she? Or
I think so.
I think she might have. And it's just, it's amazing. It's unique. She comes in 35 minutes into the film, It's
I noticed that.
Sort of
That's
like
very cool.
Somewhat of a supporting character, I guess, on paper, but really, obviously, becomes our hero. And it's just it's also amazing that she is a very intuitive cop. She's a very smart cop, and they sort of give her that as a very strong female character in this. But what's so interesting about her, the most interesting thing, is this is one of the most brilliant. I don't even know if this is exposition or what. But this is one of the smartest script writing ideas I've ever seen, which is, and I've been waiting 35 minutes to talk about it. Mike Yanagita, okay? Gotta talk about Mike Yanagita. You guys are fans, right? Of Mike Yanagita?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love. Yeah, that scene's amazing.
So, you're not a fan, Tom, of Mike Yanagita?
Wait, what? Help me out. What are you talking about?
So she goes to visit her friend.
Oh no, that's great. Yes. I didn't know his name. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
the old friend at the steakhouse or whatever.
High school friend.
The hotel, yeah.
Ramada Inn. Yeah.
Yeah. So Mike Yanagita, reaches out to Marge in the film. They're old high school friends.
Yeah, that's great.
And they're gonna go have a drink downtown at the Radisson, and she goes to meet him, and things get really strange. And he begins to talk about how, his wife passed away from cancer, and all this other stuff, and then he starts to basically crumble in front of her eyes and become very desperate, lonely, and then starts he's kind of hitting on her and trying to.
Can I sit next to you? And she's like,
yeah,
I'd prefer you didn't.
Yeah. Right.
You mind if I sit over here? I was married to Linda Cooksey.
No, why don't you sit over there? I prefer that.
So this is, to me, one of the more amazing walk-on performances. Stephen Park, shout out, who plays Mike Yanagita, incredible. What's also amazing about it too is like, I think he played that part like not knowing that it was comedic, and because it is darkly comedic, but he played it like authentic, and I think even after the film came out, the Coens are like, or I think the movie was going to come out, and they were like, the movie's turned out great, you're hilarious in it, or something like that, and he's like, I was funny,
that's interesting.
Yeah, that's really weird.
But it that kind of the tone of that scene and his character remind me of where we wound up so much so in the next 15, even 20 years of like kind of like The Office, that kind of humor, like kind of cringe, I guess, that overused term, but like that that kind of performance of like a small life person.
Oh, I'm sure.
Small life experiences. That was very fresh. What I'm trying to say is that was very fresh then.
Yeah. So you're not seeing that's a character you probably wouldn't give screen time to in a film, right?
Exactly.
And some people may even watch that scene, even though it is, entertaining, poignant, funny, whatever, and ask yourself, why is this scene in this movie, right? It might seem like you're watching a deleted scene, but what's brilliant about it, and this is coming back to my point, is from a screenwriting point of view, is you need some way for Marge to go back to Jerry Lundegaard at the car dealership and to start questioning him and find out really how to get to the answer of this, to solve this crime. And Mikey Onagita's whole reason for being in this story is because the whole time they're talking, he's lying to her, about what's happening, and that he's really is actually stalking these women that he's talking about, and he's a total creep, and she didn't even pick up on that. Like, it went right over her head. And so when she learns from her friend, like, no, this Mikey Onagita guy is bad news, she's like, oh man, and she really starts to think, and that's what drives her to go back, because she knew there must be something wrong with Jerry Lundegaard. And I think past
the happy smiling face.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like what lies underneath.
Yeah. What lies underneath. Yeah. The mask. And that's
yeah, for sure. I love that aspect of it too, that you could watch it in a superficial level and just be like, oh, there's that comedic scene that was inserted in the middle, and not understand that it is sort of the linchpin of the whole film,
Yeah. It is. Right. And what's great about it too is it's also character building for her too. You get to learn more about her and, her backstory, and, people who are in her life, and how she deals with people outside of the situation. And so it's character building and character, enriching, but it's also it serves a larger point. And I think it's such a smart way of doing it. Other films might just have like a more of a, I don't know, like she might just like think to herself like, and have a flashback and be boring and trite and cliche.
Yeah, like a close up of his face or something like that.
This
like
is the
a memory.
Way.
Can I just say, I want to let's give tribute. Let's continue giving tribute to Frances McDermott. My favorite moment, because it's like face porn after a while between her and him, especially their final face off. It's just. With Macy, that's what I'm saying. Her and Macy facing off. It's just, I was so enamored with their facial expressions, and that how they were micro changing with each one's words, And there's a moment when he starts really pushing back on her, like, I'm complying. I told you everything. And then her face, she loses Minnesota Nice smile slightly. And she starts reading the guy, and like her eyes get like busier, and like, and she's looking, but then she starts looking away a little bit, and she's going like bingo, this guy is white hot suspicious, and it's all written on the face. It's acting 101. I just want to give a shout out to that moment.
Yeah, no, it is. It's really incredible. And then of course the reveal to, holding on her face, and then the reveal that he's driving away, which is like just the most perfect, desperate, pathetic thing. This guy,
it's not even a plan. It's like, well, it's like a child. It's like, I'm like, I broke the vase, I'm just gonna run away now and run out of the house,
I know, like I'll be right back, and then
I'll be right back,
and then just boom. And that's also so perfectly echoed in the I guess it's sort of the epilogue of the film, where they actually do apprehend Jerry Lundegaard somewhere in like wherever the hell.
I love that. And he's crying like a little baby, like
like a toddler.
He's like crawling out of the. I'll be right there, and he's crawling out of the bathroom window. Very Forensic Files. Can I get a drop? Forensic Files 101.
Or current affair.
Motel room. That's the Forensic Files motel right there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but it's so amazing. Just that sort of pathetic scream that he gives so out great. Is just so sad and pathetic, and it sums everything up perfectly. Like
he's just it's like a man baby inside.
Totally.
Right? So.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah. He's acting like a child really throughout the whole film.
Yeah,
totally. One other thing I wanted to, I thought was kind of zeitgeist. I guess it's sort of zeitgeist about this is like, or just taking from other, reference points of this film is like, that the whole scene when, the kidnappers have, kidnapped, Jean, and they're bringing her and they're driving her back up to Brainerd. I mean, we should explain also the geography for people of this.
Yeah, I'm lost.
Can I jump in for a second here and just say, like,
Sure.
this is the first time I have really paid attention to the geography of the film,
Yes.
you know, just like preparing for this episode, and like, wow, a lot of this is in the Twin Cities, you know?
Yes.
And just getting back to the film, it's called Fargo. Like, I think even as a teenager and someone growing up in Montana and stuff, I always assumed that it took place more in North Dakota, but like, there's like basically that opening bar.
That's it.
Where he meets the hitman is in Fargo, and everything else is in Minnesota. So, I mean, I guess people know now that it was originally going to be called Brainerd.
Was it really?
You're kidding?
Yeah, I'd read that. I'm not kidding. I mean, I need to cite, double check. I did read that today.
Yeah, okay.
So
double check the sources, but I feel like they realized
it's
that
just a better
Fargo
city
was a
name.
better name. You know?
It's a
Fargo
cooler
is,
sounding.
That's
It
where
is a
went
little
down.
exploitative, though. You know, it is a little exploiting, that in a way. But they are good at telling a story that exists outside of the movie too, which is I think what the true story, based on a true story, all that stuff is.
Yeah.
They're very savvy storytellers, and they have
How
grown
about this?
by the time they get to this movie. And I think, anyway.
I don't know. I think out of all the town names, saying the name Fargo sounds more Minnesota than anything else. Oh, did you go up to Fargo?
It's
just
right on the border. It's a border town of Minnesota.
No, but I'm saying forget that shit. I'm just saying like the sound of that town.
No, it is.
Like evokes like a talking like a Fargo and going up downtown. You help me. I can't do this accent.
Fargo. You got it. Fargo.
Fargo, eh?
Yeah, sure. But anyway, so but Brainerd, for those who don't know, Tom,
what's up with Brainerd? What's really going on?
Okay, so Brainerd in actuality is the home of Paul Bunyan and the Babe the Blue Ox. Okay,
I love that. I don't know what that blue ox shit is, but I've heard of Paul Bunyan.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Paul Bunyan, there's actually Paul Bunyan land that you can go to if you want to in Brainerd, and I remember as a kid going there. And there's a whole thing.
Not go to Paul Bunyan land.
I went to Paul Bunyan land, and when you go there as a kid, your parents basically tell the people at the desk like what your kid's name is. All Minnesotans should know this. My son's name is Evan. Okay, my son's name is Evan. And then you walk into Paul Bunyan land, and there's a giant. I mean, when you're a kid, it looks like a 7-story Paul Bunyan. And you look up to him, and it's a mechanical thing, and its arm raises up and says "Hi," but he got my name wrong. He goes, "Hi, Even." Hi,
drop.
Even.
Please tell me this is on YouTube. An example of the robot Paul Bunyan.
That's what I was thinking, like a world entertainment.
Dude, that's hot.
And
wow.
so when he said "even," I started crying, of course, and was very upset.
Right.
But anyway, so that's Brainerd, and that's where they have, Gene is held up in Brainerd. When they have the house there, when they've kidnapped her, and where he's taken the money, and Marge is. Oh no, wait. Brainerd is where the murder happens too, where they kill
the police,
the
state trooper, right?
Right, because that's the jurisdiction of the murder. Marge is the Brainerd police. And I wanted to mention to go back to my earlier point about just pulling from culture. That murder of the cop and the bystanders is very similar to Thin Blue Line, and I wanted to know if that was something that they picked, took from, because that's essentially that's the main crime in Thin Blue Line, right? I mean, even the shots
Wouldn't surprise me
with the cop coming up to the cop car and
totally.
everything. To me that felt very Thin Blue Line. I wonder if that is kind of Forensic Files.
I gotta say, I couldn't when I first said FF in my head, I couldn't lose in the whole to watch the whole thing. Yeah, right. But actually, I got to say that scene plays out. I'm not a huge Coen Brothers guy, but like, and let me just say, like the one scene, it's the killing of the bystanders. That works really well. It's very haunting because the car is approaching, and the terrified look of the driver as he passes by, going, "I'm passing a very bad scene, and I could be right in the middle of this in 2 seconds." And of course, he is. That is great filmmaking. So tons of respect. And the scene ends though with that terrified passenger's face, the young girl, I guess. Maybe I can't get her age quite. young woman, maybe a teenage girl, and like she's terrified. She knows she's going to die, and then the cold way that this horrible robot Swede is like terminating. Oh, she's got to go too. Like boom, and then it cuts to black. And here's what I'm saying is like, we're in talking about the zeitgeist at the time. We're steeped right then in post Pulp Fiction world, where it's like har shot in the face kind of times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, really, like comedy violence is very big
everywhere.
after Pulp Fiction.
Yep.
Yeah. So right, and so they didn't quite play. I felt it could have gone a little deeper in resonating the nightmare, ugly tragedy of specifically killing the bystanders, because the cop is in the line of duty, but like they're just bystanders, and then it's also not just the one guy driving, but this girl, like just getting like so coldly shot, and they don't do like mugging kind of smug 90s for that scene, but it doesn't. I wish it kind of resonated a little deeper. Sometimes I feel like the depth of the feeling that those guys have for a moment and for characters, like that's a very heavy tragic scene. Like these people are killed in cold blood. Yeah. But it mostly is kind of slapstick. Then Buscemi, he's shot in and Buscemi's right out of a Tarantino when he's shot in the face, kind of like, I'm bleeding a lot over here,
or Reservoir
but
Dogs.
It's like
Reservoir Dogs, right?
Yeah. Right, exactly. So anyway, it's not even a criticism, and I think they play it very well cinematically. Like when the bystander's car disappears in the distance.
I know what you mean. It gets a little dorm room poster movie.
I think that. What do you think? Yeah. Well, I think they wanted to do they are visual filmmakers, and they think about the cinematography, and in that scene with the bystander shot, he's got that red coat, which is what's used on the poster, and there was a lot of thinking in this film about, like, Steve Buscemi's got the red shirt and the red hands against the white snow, Well,
when the bystander's car's overturned, it's the red tail light.
Right.
Yep. And I think there's a lot of stuff in this movie. Good cinematography, Roger Deakins.
Oh, that's great.
Legendary.
But there's a lot of just like white, like the horizon is gone because the sky and the ground are the same color, so it is just like a flat white thing. That's even shooting towards the road, shooting up high. You've got that geometric shot of like all the planters and stuff.
I want to talk about that.
There's a lot of just like, I think that maybe some of the stuff like the red and the things that you're noting were made as visual ideas, to kind of vibe with their minimalist White Album kind of movie that they wanted to make.
But as opposed to maybe accents, like having like a resonating emotionality to someone just being snuffed out of their lives, like right then, because that is what's happening. Like narratively speaking, that is what's happening. 3 people's lives are ended because of this because of this absurd bug-eyed, like sweaty liar, Macy. And so, but what I'm saying is, and maybe it's because I've been rewatching a lot of David Lynch lately, where there is a lot of resonating emotion to tragedy, that is kind of, I was noticing that maybe that's where I don't quite keep going with the Coen brothers somewhat, because like there's another level and layer to go down. Tragedy is maybe not even the right word, but there's the resonating of this huge like assaultive loss of life, and it's not played for laughs, but it isn't. It's not hit very deeply.
There's sort of a silliness.
Whatever.
It's kind of a goofiness.
Right.
I sort of know what you mean.
Well,
but it is kind of.
It gets less with them as you go. Like I think No Country for Old Men is even colder and more removed. You see the main character die, and it's almost like what you almost sort of like have to go. Wait, did the main character just die?
Well, they kill him in a. It's like an abrupt
from
cut,
afar, right?
And then we have to flash back to it, or flash forward, or it's something where like you don't actually see him die. You see just the aftermath of him being dead already, and it's abrupt, and it's
anyway. All I'm saying is everything's okay, and they're the best Coen brothers the Coen brothers could be, and I do respect them, and this is a great film on all fronts. Like it's great choices, and it looks great. It's very fun, very exciting, and very funny, and it's just something I noticed in how they kind of don't. And maybe by choice, they decide not to like go deeper, even with heavy moments like hardcore violence. Like the wife is killed.
Yeah, just so coldly too.
Right?
Like
the hostage wife, like she was yelling too much. Or whatever
she's
he
just
says.
dead on the floor, like with the oven next to her, and like it's really grim. And it's.
I mean, again, forget it. It's okay. It's not. I don't even want to get critical of them. It's just I think I would like another layer down if you're going to endeavor in things that get really inherently dark, which is like loss of life by a bunch of psychotic asshole fools, you know.
Well, the Minnesota way, you got to keep it kind of light, right?
I guess you know what? Maybe maybe I'm missing that.
Well, I mean, I think it is all this stuff that is, you know, like we said at the top of the show, it's like it's bringing to the surface all these things that are buried, you know, below, and I think that it kind of goes hand in hand. This sort of cold, you know, violence that sort of contrasts with this very morose and disgusting niceness, you know. This demented sort of depiction of it. So, and I think it just fits. But is there another set piece character or anything you guys wanted to bring up?
Character wise,
or sets or scenes?
Yeah, set pieces. Look, you're talking to me, I would just talk about Macy the rest of the time. You know, I'm not even kidding. Well, okay, how about this?
Sure, we can.
So and again, I've got you guys being Midwesterners, you know, like, and I'm not at all. So I was thinking, along with Forensic Files, of About Schmidt. 2002, and it's one of my favorites. I really love that film, and that's you know, a coastal elite, for lack of a better term, is endeavoring into Midwesternness with that film. With you know, was that Nebraska, and it's retiring, you know, Jack Nicholson character, and that whole world is steeped in. But that film plays so much sweeter, and it doesn't feel like as mocking. But I think they both are having a little bit of fun with their subject. But I think that Schmidt has a little more, you know, like it wants to have a resonation of a character more than just like a caricature, you know. But they're doing two different things.
That's fine. And you know what's interesting about that too is, like, you know, Coen's being from Minnesota, Alexander Payne being from Nebraska. You know, it is an interesting thing too, because Nebraska is almost
a distinction.
Well, it's just Nebraska, I think, is its own brand of Midwest. You know, it is still technically, I think, the Midwest. You know, or on the edge, but it's it is
not the same crushing cold,
crushing cold. And then his film, what's the film? Citizen Ruth is, I think, also set in Nebraska, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting, like these filmmakers that do become sort of household names that are from these places of isolation and sort of set their films there. You know, doing what they know, as we said, is interesting. It is very interesting. But I think it's just a style choice. I think it's a style choice. You know?
Yeah, I know, and what the aims of those films are very different. But if you want to talk about set pieces, where I just went like, boy, I do love this film, and it's got just like. It's got a certain magic, Fargo. It really does. Like when they visit, see Jose Feliciano live. Come on.
Yeah,
I forgot about that. That's a great choice too.
At the Carlton Celebrity, you know, like Ramada Inn or whatever. You know,
he kind of says something about like, well, you know, at least when it's Jose Feliciano, you know, at least you're in for a good evening.
You know, Jose Feliciano, you got no complaints.
Exactly. I almost wish there was a little more of that, you know, like you know, like just like slices. That was a good slice of life moment. Like, hey, let's take this escort to a nice uptown kind of place.
Yeah, right.
So let me take you to Jose Feliciano, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. It's
I
great.
want to wish you a Merry Christmas. Yeah. So like just that kind of touch. Very nice, very nicely played. So kudos to that little touch.
Yeah, it's like even though this movie is a brisk, like, I mean, it's got to be like, you know, it's like an hour and 45 minutes or something like that. It's a brisk watch. You know, the scenes move, and you know, it's insanely watchable.
Each scene is like a little movie in its own. You know, each scene is a contained scene. Absolutely. You know, it's not just like we have to come back to this one to make it. You know, it is like a little sketch each one. You know, which is, I love that kind of film. You know,
but also like you're saying, it has a lot of energy. Like it keeps kinetically moving forward. It never drags. And it knows like, let's tell this simple story and keep it dynamic, and it's always engrossing. And one thing we haven't mentioned, you were saying, like, maybe mention to people, like, I kind of like his father-in-law, because his vibe is a little different. Yeah, it's a little more coarse. and a little more like alpha male, balding alpha male, kind of thing. And I like that character. And it starts, and when he's pitching the father-in-law with his partners about like some scheme. Yeah. William Macy thinks like, and then you guys give me $700,000.
I know.
And they're like, and at one point, one of his partners just goes like, I'm not even sure what you're talking about. Like, what are you saying? Like,
yeah,
exactly. And
like
that was almost like Eastbound and Down kind of thing, like unrealistic guy at the business meeting. No, that was a nice touch.
Yeah, he thinks he's going to be able to get like a personal loan from his father-in-law. But he brought it to him like it's a business plan for his business, and it's like, that's not how this works. We don't just give you money.
Finder's fee.
Yeah, finder's fee.
Yeah. Like I know it sounds insane, but I kind of wanted more of that. Like if the film was just, I think you guys know where I'm coming from with this film. If it was just William H. Macy and his like business schemes.
That's what I was about to say.
That's
what I was about to say. I was about to say, like, even though this movie is, like brisk, 90, whatever, 100 minutes, but it man, if it was 3 hours, like, like Goodfellas length or whatever, I would fuck with it all fucking day,
Exactly. Like expand on all points.
It's no shock.
More Buscemi backstory. Sorry?
I was just going to say, it's no shock that it became adapted into a TV series,
There you go.
The potential of recreating the magic with the film it's obvious, I don't know if they succeeded, but it's obvious.
I haven't seen it. I did want to mention that just in the context of 96 too, since it's gone for those that get to experience it, that this did feel so fresh and like, wow, like at the time, like, it was at once like the sort of the culmination of the indies, because this was like the year that the indies had the big moment, the Oscars, where it was like the English Patient one. And, all these other movies like Train Spotting came out that year. Like, it was such a big, anyway, it was sort of touted at the time as the year of independent film. And so this one felt like a peak moment for independent film. And it's like one of those moments where you think like, wow, the future's so bright. If they keep making movies like this, the future's going to be fucking incredible,
Boy, were we all wrong.
Exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, Boondock Saints.
Right.
Yeah, I know exactly.
But actually, just in the last couple minutes here, we are kind of bearing the lead a little bit. The elephant in the room is you're talking about the zeitgeist. This was interesting. I wasn't sure we were going to talk about it, but like the film in the zeitgeist, it's 1996, and I was talking about like Tarantino and like cutting off the cop's ear and which Reservoir Dogs.
Yep.
And like there is a gore, crazy, out of control. Like I can't believe what I'm watching on the screen. The gory set piece of the putting the guy in the wood Buscemi in the wood chipper.
Yeah.
That's like it's comic. It's absurd. It's very gory. It's very crazy, and it's just such it captures the imagination. Like God, imagine putting someone through limb by limb through a wood chipper, which has happened a few times.
Yeah, it has. Yeah,
and I think there's a forensic files of some guy.
Well, I think Dahmer did that too. Maybe.
Oh,
like he chipped somebody up. I think. Well, yeah, it is.
But anyway, that's a big classic 90s pop moment.
And we got the same film where like the wood chipper thing is crazy, but also putting a pregnant, Midwest mom in like as the main like cop investigator is equally as crazy as chipping somebody up.
No, I know. Well, but I'm just talking about like the like sometimes big movies have pops. Like you're talking about Train Spotting, the scene when the guy with the shit everywhere,
right?
Yeah, right.
But no, whatever. The bedspread, and he sprays it over the family. Of the girls
right.
Oh, right.
Anyway, like I said, that movie has a few pop scenes, but that's the big pop moment of.
And there is something interesting too with that image of the wood chipper, and being so iconic in the film, that it is this kind of like crazy. This just sort of the contrasting image fits so well with like this crazy violent thing juxtaposing with Minnesota and the nice
like You Betcha. You Betcha wood chipper. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Anyway, there
Great
you go.
Movie.
So
William H.
hour.
Macy forever, dude.
Yeah, dude. He crushes it in this. All right, so that was 1 fucking hour on Fargo. Thank you, everybody.
Coming live from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Right there.
From Brainerd.
Let's check the weather. Let's see if it's gone down. Oh, feels like 2. Feels like 2 now.
Oh, You've doubled your degrees. It feels like.
Feels like 2.
Congratulations.
Okay. So, real quick before we change the subject here and get into, what next week is, I'm very excited about that. Tom, we didn't get a chance to get it under the clock here, but what's your you had a story one of your okay.
Oh Jesus. Well, geez. Well, okay. So one time, one of the few times I was in the Midwest, I was on tour, and the opening act, I was working with Cut Chemist, and the opening act was like, the guy in the band was like, man, this area is crazy. Like, so one time I was sleeping with this gal from Minnesota, and I couldn't believe it. But when we were making it, we were doing it, she would cry out, she would moan, she'd go, oh jeez, and he said it was as distracting as that you'd think that is, like she's whispering as you're like, oh jeez, that's the spot, and it's just like, what the fuck, So anyway, that was the funniest thing I've ever heard, and still is, and it killed us all. This guy was telling us all this story like in the tour bus or something, and I was just like, oh jeez,
that is
because right, wouldn't that happen?
Yes, it would. It probably is happening right now somewhere in this.
You know what? If someone has done that or have heard that,
comment.
Let's hear it.
Comment below. Okay. Wow. Oh geez, that's pretty good. Jesus Christ. Oh jeez. Okay.
Oh jeez.
Oh my God. All right. So I think it's time to talk about next week. I mean, we've been teasing this for a long time.
I know.
Tom's
things come up.
Birthday episode is next week.
It's birthday episode time again.
And
now what I wanted to go, please.
But let me just set you before you hold on. For anyone who doesn't know, just of course, the birthday episode is very special here at One Fucking Hour. It's obviously when it's your birthday, you get to pick what film we're going to cover, and it's the only time of the year that you get the full carte blanche, choice.
Well, but the T-shirt of the birthday episode is no notes.
No notes.
There's no discussion. There's no debate.
There's no pushback.
It's your golden ticket.
Yeah, we're pretty democratic
each of us gets
usually.
Yeah. But otherwise, you get a golden ticket.
Yeah, exactly.
And you get to pick whatever you want. Whatever you want.
And we encourage the other gentlemen to use the golden ticket for the most absurd choice you can possibly think of, because this is your one chance to do it.
Right.
And
because or a title where, like, there would, in the democratic system of One Fucking Hour, it might get voted down.
It might get downvoted. Right. Exactly. So
exactly.
Right. But we should preface this because I won't reveal what it is because I want to let you do it. But we had a contest that we sponsored 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. What's this we shit?
That's where all our Patreon. This is where our Patreon money goes.
Yeah, seriously, because there's a big deficit there now. But basically, I said that because Tom has mentioned the film he's about to announce as his birthday episode, I think once on the show. In the 124...
I thought twice, but
maybe twice. 1 to 2 times in the past 125 hours, he's mentioned it. And so we made the joke, well, go back and listen to all the episodes, and maybe you can figure it out. And then I said...
no one's ever going to get it.
Right, and then I said, if somebody does get it and guess it correctly, I will pay them $200. So...
I'm glad we didn't say, we'll all shave our heads or something.
Right.
Exactly. So people commented below. This was on the Mikey and Nikki episode from 2 weeks ago, and everyone commented, and there's one commenter guessed it correct. I won't spoil it.
Respect. Total respect.
His name it was on YouTube is at my neighbor John Turturro. Guessed it correct.
Now this is probably an AI bot. That we're talking about.
Yeah. No.
And not a person. And you're going to Venmo an AI bot.
He sent me a scan of his passport as proof.
What?
It's true. I do have his passport info.
What, are you kidding me?
I am not kidding you. Wow. So you better not cross me. No, anyway. So I wound up PayPaling him $200. So congratulations. You win. We are people of our words.
Seriously. I'm very impressed. That is out of control.
It is out of control.
Respect.
Because a lot of the guesses, which were not the correct answers, there was a lot of guesses. I was like, oh, yeah, he might have picked that, actually. Oh, I do. Yeah, that would have been a pick for Tom.
Right.
But that's not what he picked. So why don't you tell us, Tom, what did you pick?
All right. So just circling slightly back to the Magna Carta of the birthday episode. I'm sure I'm using that wrong, but the genesis of this, the original idea was, it's on the other side of like a democratically selected choice of a film, and it's an indulgence. Okay, now I feel like maybe we've all been sliding a little bit, like I'm including myself, where it's just like, well, I kind of like this movie a lot, and it's my birthday. Let's talk about it. Cool. No, it should be like ugly, harsh. Like, what are you, crazy? Like, this otherwise wouldn't happen on this show. It wouldn't happen on another podcast. It shouldn't happen. Why is this happening? So anyway, and this is including, I have brought this up a few times. This is what the person picked up on. Is I have said this film that we're picking for next week for my birthday, what I'm picking. And it's mainly because of the title, because I just want to see the title card and the thumbnail drop, like we are covered, blah, blah, blah. And that's why I have previously mentioned this film before, because the title really kind of speaks for itself. It's one of those outrageous titles where it's like, that's not a real movie. Like, or if it is, like, what is that? So the title of my pick is 2, 3, The Worm Eaters. That's right. Yay. Okay. And and I got to say the other thing here, because this is getting a little prankish. Like I really can't wait to see, you guys are going to be forced to watch The Worm Eaters, because I'm sure neither of you have seen The Worm Eaters.
I've never seen it. Nope.
No.
Have you heard of The Worm Eaters?
Only from you.
Well, yeah, I've heard of it.
Only from you. Okay. I don't know this fucking movie.
So, but here's the good news. And I'll keep this brief because we'll cover it next week.
Yeah, keep it brief.
There's stuff about like worm eating, but this film is also insane. And I've been reading other people's accounts of it and taking a step back, remembering, and I'm going to rewatch it. If it didn't have the worm eating side, it would also be an insane film. Like people often, almost always, when people are reviewing it and commenting on it, they say like it's sort of like a weird PG John Waters film, and that's an interesting description. It's just a very strange film. And I just want to give you one little quick quote. The director, Herb Robbins, has a quote in a newspaper that I dug up, and it says, what is it? So I'm going to leave it with the note of the director of The Worm Eaters.
Okay.
For you guys, because I think he says it all. And of course I can't find it. Do you have it?
Wait.
Oh, I got it.
Okay.
So the director, Herb Robbins of The Worm Eaters, when interviewed in a newspaper, by the way, he said, "I'm a freak, and I want my movies to be seen by freaks."
Ooh, I love that.
So, I mean, come on.
Cool.
So you're kind of in trouble. This film, it's a comedy. It's a gross out. It doesn't make any sense. It's objectively terrible. But there's only one film like The Worm Eaters. So I'm picking it because of its title, but also it is a pretty WTF time. It really is.
I'm excited.
So it's going to be wild. And I can't wait for you guys to see it.
I don't know what I'm more excited about. Actually doing 1 fucking hour on The Worm Eaters, or just knowing that, a handful of people are going to be going out and all simultaneously watching.
I know.
The Worm Eaters in preparation for next week.
There's going to be a few, and a lot of people are going to give up. They're like, "Oh, fuck this," for a bunch of reasons.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, "Oh, come on, guys!" Like, so if you want to join us and watch, great. If you want to give up, I totally understand. But do tune in to our review of The Worm Eaters.
Right.
Okay.
Amazing.
It's on Netflix, right?
Yeah, it's on Criterion Channel. So
that's the joke.
No, but The Worm Eaters from 1977. That's what we're going to be watching. Crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm getting.
Let's
into.
fucking go.
I don't know. What
Let's
we're
fucking go.
Into.
So, birthday picks are back.
Yes. Okay. Here we go. So
we're
going to do it.
And I'm laying down the gauntlet for you guys.
Yeah, I gotta think.
The Worm Eaters is the bar.
Yeah, it's the birthday pickiest.
Yeah. Birthday pick.
Yeah, right. I love it.
Worm eaters.
I like the idea for birthday picks of like, it's such a ridiculous, absurd pick, but like but the other two haven't seen it, so we're both going into this blind. I'm going in blind. I have no idea what to expect, so it'll be interesting to see because like
I love that.
BJ Lang, I was blind, and so I'm going in blind for this.
Yeah. No, that's good. And I just one other little hint is I read a pretty insightful letterbox review of the film that gets into the socialist versus American capitalism metaphors that run rampant through the Worm Eaters.
Of course.
And he's not wrong.
Okay.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
Dropping a hint.
All right,
Okay,
cool.
great.
Sounds like a juicy topic. Yeah, so... Okay, guys, next week, 1 fucking hour on the Worm Eaters. You heard it here first.
Of course.
For episode 127. Very excited about that. But if you want to support the show and you like what we're doing here and you want to hear more about us talking about movies beyond the 126 episodes that are available on YouTube, head over to the Patreon, patreon.com/1fuckinghour, just $5 a month. You can support us that way and get access to all of our bonus apps that we have up there. We're actually due for another bonus app, so we got to put our heads together and figure out what that's going to be. I'm sure we'll figure out something soon. And or you can become a Momen of the YouTube channel by clicking the join button on our channel homepage. Okay, guys, thanks so much. Hope you have a great rest of your week, but we can't leave you without your Momen of Zen. Okay, everybody. Thanks so much, and we will see you on the flip side. Okay, for the Worm Eaters.
Betcha.
We'll see you. Okay, bye now.
Bye now.
Bye.
Hey, how are you guys doing? All right, are we gonna take a picture? All right, now smile big and say cheeseburger. Yep, go ahead, grab a seat on my dog sport. He's a friendly dog. There you go. Hey, are you gonna give me some mail over there? Yep, don't be falling in that mailbox now. That wouldn't be too good.
The kids are amazed that I know their names. The parents tell the names to the gate girl. The gate girl then tells me the names through her mic and goes up into the voice box where I hear them. And then I say the names as I see the kids come into the park. They're really excited when Paul Bunyan says their names, and they're also really amazed.
Motherfucking goddamn orange peel beef.
That was wicked, man.